Welcome to Uping stock price prediction channel. So in this video, I will talk about the prediction and analysis of Tesla price for the next week, for the week June 6th to June 10th. Before that, I will also firstly very quickly review the prediction of the last video number 78. So in Uping video number 78, uploaded to YouTube on May 31st. That's basically the last day of the last month, May. So I noticed that there's some kind of a downtrend for the Tesla price. So that's also a good time to give a prediction and analysis for the coming for that week. And also for the next month, that's basically June. So I uploaded that video on May 31st for that video number 78. In that video, basically that's uploaded on Tuesday on May 31st. Today is June 4th. So this is a Tesla daily chart. And this is a Tesla weekly chart. This is based on prediction model. So that means each vertical bar is the real-time Tesla price. So this is the Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. So Tuesday is May 31st. May 31st, that's the last day of May, because there's no market on Monday. So in that video number 78, I mentioned this trend line, yellow trend line, started to be flat. So it shows has more decreasing momentum. So I mentioned for this week, for the week of May 31st to June 3rd, I mentioned for that week, it may go down to $700. And for early week, this is Tuesday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. For this Tuesday, I mentioned it at least have a tendency to go up to here, and will go also have a tendency to go up to this $786. So even though on Wednesday Wednesday is a kind of a transition day, so it didn't exactly reach this point, but on Thursday it reaches this yellow trend line, this point, and also basically reaches this yellow trend line and even exceed it. So in this week, the maximum price it reaches on Thursday, it reaches $792. So it basically is just $6 higher than what I predicted for $786. For this point, $786. So there's only $6 difference between the predicted maximum price and the actual maximum price. And for this weekly minimum price, I mentioned it may go down to $700 at that time. At that time on Tuesday, on May 31st, in video number 78, I mentioned it may go down even to this. At least it may go down to this trend line, and may also go down to this trend line, so $700. So I mentioned it may go down to $700, and check what happened exactly on Friday. It dropped down to $700, and dropped to $700. Actual minimum price in this week is $700, and it's just exactly the same as what I mentioned for the minimum price of this week. On Friday, closing price is about $702, so it's also very close, just $2 close to the minimum price. So many people will be interested in what will happen for the next week, for the week of June 6th to June 10th. So based on this prediction model, so this is a Tesla prediction model. For this is a daily chart, and this is a weekly chart. And you see for these trend lines, this point basically are the predicted minimum price and the maximum price, and or the effective resistance and the support for potentially for next week. So you can see these trend lines are still downward. So that means there's still a decreasing trend for the next week. And you can see for this, if you zoom it, this last Friday, you see the last Friday closing price is closed below this trend lines. So it's not a good sign. So it's a bad sign. It shows also a decreasing trend. And you see for this weekly chart, and the last on May 31st, and at that time it was has this kind of data around this point, and I already mentioned for this week, for the past week, basically that's a week in May 31st to June 3rd. So I mentioned that there's still a gap around this area, so it has a tendency to reach this bottom. So right now it exactly happened, has a downtrend for this week, and the minimum price of this week exactly happened as what I mentioned. For this week it may go down to $700, and you see this, even though this trend line has bended, so that means it could become a good support, but there's still a gap in this area. So this week it doesn't reach this point, doesn't close this gap. So the next week, this point and this point, and even this point, that could also be some milestones, resistance and the support for the next week. So early next week, it may have the fluctuation could be in this region, and it may go up. Possibly it may go up to $741, but it may also drop it down even to $662. But very likely $662 is about in this region. So it may have a tendency to drop it down, and depends on if it can be supported at this point, $703. So it can support it, can hold by this point, by this support 703. So it may have a good tendency to go up, and at least something like have a good tendency to go up to $749. Depends on if it really have a very strong momentum, it may reach to this $823. But the fluctuation next week, fluctuation region is about this region. So if you check the another trade map, this is a trade map, this is a daily chart, this is a weekly chart for trade map. For this kind of blue dot or red dot, this kind of shows the effective support and the resistance. So you can see for this weekly chart, so the last week it opened below this red dot, $778, and then in that video number 78 I also mentioned it was opened below this red dot, so it have a good tendency of downward tendency to even drop it down to this $700. So right now it exactly happened for this week, and it opened here, and even though it has a little bit overshoot past this red dot, but it can be supported, and then it can drops for that week and drop it to this $703. So if you zoom it this a little bit, you can see this still has a little bit of gap closer to this $689. So it very likely, it's almost like very likely to go down at least to this $689. But if this point can't be supported, it may go down even more below to this region. Like in the prediction model, what it was showed, and but if this can still could be a support, and you see this point is $689 for this daily chart is closer to this point. It's close to this point. So last week it hasn't have enough chance to drop it down to this $681. So it's very likely to next week is still will drop it to at least to this $681. And if this can be supported, it may drop it down a little bit more. But this kind of a map shows this kind of a milestone, support and resistance. So generally, if it wants to have a rebound, even go up to this $770, this is $770. In that weekly chart is $778. It's a kind of a strong resistance. So next week it has to, it could possibly still want to push up and push at least push it to this $718. So it has to pass this $718 red dot, and also pass this red dot resistance $741. And as long as it can pass this resistance, and then it may have a tendency to go even up to this $770. That's basically is around this $778. So when I mentioned in prediction model, it may has a possibility to reach to this $823. That's a yellow trend line. If it reaches to this point, definitely is a maximum kind of you have to consider like sell your stock. So it's a kind of relatively limit. Very, very rarely cases for this kind of increasing trend, it may reach this top yellow trend line, but generally this top trend line is generally will not be reached. Is for the most of the cases. So it's just for reference. And if it reaches to this yellow trend line, for this yellow trend line, it's almost be a kind of limit, upper limit. So this $823, if you check this trend map, $823 is a kind of at this level, effective resistance, this yellow dot, that's $821. So you see, so the Tesla stock price has, if it go up, have a very strong momentum. If it go up, it has to pass this red dot. There's 3 layers of red dot. It's a kind of a resistance. So it has to pass this kind of 3 layers of resistance for each milestones, and then it can reach this $821. So if you like this kind of prediction and analysis, you are welcome to subscribe Uping stock price prediction, or watch more videos in YouTube.